You know, our next speaker is a dynamo. He really is. I've had a chance to get to know him, probably for the last 3 or 4 years. And he's from Wisconsin, so I'll say this. Sorry about Green Bay, man. Tough loss. Tough loss. I don't know how that happened, but he's up from the Madison area in Wisconsin, and he's been probably at 3 or 4 SSN meetings now, right? 4 SSN meetings, and he's an amazing person in the real estate industry. And I think that once he comes up here, you'll know exactly why, and you're going to be very eager to refer him. In today's challenging economic times, it is more important than ever that every company's sales force is performing at a peak state. Our next speaker has been coaching sales professionals on how to maximize this state for the last 18 years. He comes to us from Madison, Wisconsin, where he owns and operates 4 residential real estate brokerages. In 2011, his team closed over 1,200, I'll say it again, 1,200 real estate transactions and generated over $250 million in sales volume. Even in this continued downturn in the real estate markets, his team has exceeded their closed sales goals every year by over 26%, and profits for the company have increased by over 60%. Paulie, where's the recession? There isn't one. Currently, he's one of 12 coaches in North America training peak sales performance for real estate, title, and mortgage professionals with a program called BOLD, Business Objective, A Life by Design. This boot camp style course takes salespeople through a rigorous training camp where graduates are averaging 9.3 real estate transactions in just 8 weeks. A strong communicator and a student of bridging the gap from being completely stopped to utterly successful. He's having an impact on lives and businesses for sales professionals both in the U.S. and Canada. Please help me welcome Darren Kittleson.
Thank you, Alok. Oops. So I made the team. It had been my dream since I was age 11 growing up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin to be part of this team, and I'd made it. In fact, not only made it, I was going to be a starter. Oh, so what team, you're probably wondering about? Well, actually it was the team that had made me one of the most popular guys on the campus of the University of Wisconsin, College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. It was none other than the Collegiate dairy judging team. I know. Yeah, kind of a big deal. So in order to make this team, however, it took a lot of work. In fact, it was a goal I'd had since about age 11. And in order to do that, we had to go to workouts that began in August, much like some other teams on the campus. And our workouts are a little bit different. However, we get in a van 3 days a week. We'd travel out to a dairy farm just outside the city of Madison. And for 3 hours, under the grueling hot August sun, we'd look at cows. Now, to describe what dairy judging is really about, it's kind of like a beauty pageant for the bovine set. Now, you know, it wasn't without its possibility for injury also. In fact, sometimes you'd get so engrossed in looking at these beautiful animals that you would misstep and land in a freshly laid cow pie. Could pull a hamstring. It was really, you know, obviously you had to have shoes that you could clean. So I'd made the team, and so for that fall dairy judging season, I got to travel in that team van to exotic dairy cattle locations almost every weekend. We had places like the Great Northern Livestock Exposition in Louisville, Kentucky, and the beautiful town of Waterloo, Iowa for the National Dairy Cattle Congress. I'm telling you, this is why I was so excited about that. And we even got to do it in our own backyard because the World Dairy Expo is hosted in Madison, Wisconsin every year. We even traveled internationally, and for my friends here from Canada, I got to judge at the Royal Winter Fair in Guelph, Ontario, Canada. So this was really cool. Now, I want to share with you just a story about what happened in Louisville that year. In Louisville, when we rolled into town, there was 4 of us on every judging team. In fact, there were 40 teams competing in that competition. And as we rolled into town, we were the team to beat. Much like my Packers this year, we were undefeated until we got to Louisville. And what happened in that competition is that we would go out on Friday and do workouts in the arena looking at cows just as a warm-up. I know some of you are probably having trouble getting your heads around that. And then the competition or game day was Saturday, and we'd suit up. And so on Saturday mornings, we'd roll into that arena, and for the morning, from 8 a.m. until noon, we would look at cows. This is what got me so excited. And there were classes of 4 cattle in each class, and we had 12 classes total, and so we would rank them based on their overall appearance, and we would be scored based on that. And so what was interesting about that is in 12 classes, you had one right way that you could place a class, and there were 276 wrong combinations in total. In the afternoon, then, we would go out and we would actually give oral reasons as to why we chose 6 of the classes in the order that we did. And as we were trained for that afternoon, we were trained to really show up almost like a TV newscaster as we gave our oral reasons. So just to give you a little sample of what that sounds like, we'd step in front of a judge and we'd prepare ourselves and we'd go, I placed this class of dairy 2-year-olds 1, 3, 4, 2. I placed cow 1 over number 2 because she had more uniformity over the top line. She was leaner about her withers. She had more curve to her hips and thighs, and she had more openness in her rib. Do you see why I got so excited about this? I just think you're not getting it. So we went in and gave our reasons, and I walked out of there. I felt so confident. I was the Matt Lauer of giving oral reasons that afternoon. So we loaded up into the van to go back to our hotel to get a shower, because after you spend a day in an arena full of cows, even though you grew up around them, you want to get them off of you. And then we dressed in our 9s for the awards banquet. And I was so excited. This was the first time I got to go to an awards show. And as the evening progressed, what they did is they started giving the awards out, and they recognized the top individuals and how they placed the classes. And they started with the top 10, working from 10 down to 1. And as they listed off the names, the 10th highest place winner, the 9th highest, the 8th highest, the closer they got to 1, the more I sat up straight in my chair because I was certain I was going to be number 1. Well, they got to number 1 and my name wasn't called, so in my mind I justified going, well, I must have been number 11. I just missed it. And then they gave awards out, though, for the oral reasons. So for their 6 classes that we had to go talk in front of a judge about why we placed them that way. And as they went from number 10 down to number 1, at number 2, my name was called. I jumped up out of my chair. I ran down to the stage. I grabbed my trophy. I smiled for the camera. There we go. I was excited. Now, out of that, I was pretty confident that we must be the number 1 team again. And as they announced the team awards, we actually got knocked off our throne. We ended up number 2. What was interesting about that whole night is that at the end, they gave out all of the rankings. Now, there were 160 of us competing that afternoon and that evening. And out of the 160, in the way we placed the classes, as I looked down through the list, my name appeared at number 160. I had done the worst in how I ranked those classes out of all the other competitors that day, and yet I ended up number 2 in my oral reasons. Now, why I share that with you is I'm on a crusade. I believe that the spoken word is dying. And there's a lot of power in that. In fact, research shows us that in our effectiveness in speaking, 55% of our effectiveness in how we speak is our body language. 38% is our rate of speech and our tonality, and just 7% are the words we choose to use. Now, don't get me wrong, that 7% is important, but in this era of technology, texting and email, I believe we're losing so much of our effectiveness. In fact, those of you who were with us last night, you heard Martha Corder talk about that. So my quest is to get sales groups and teams to start speaking effectively again, getting on the telephone again, and in doing so, increasing their opportunities for business. My company is called Collegiate Coaching. I work predominantly with real estate companies, mortgage companies, banking, in helping their sales team increase their productivity and effectiveness. I'm going to be at table 2. My deal is 20% in everything I do revenue-wise. Thanks for your attention this afternoon. I look forward to seeing you at table 2.